Is your small business growing? That's the question we address right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. It's where we interview strategic entrepreneurs who inform and inspire you on your solopreneur or small company journey. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Grow Your Biz Show. Entrepreneurs, can you use data to grow your business? If you've ever wondered that, you're in the right place for this episode. Welcome to the Grow Your Business Show. With me today is none other than Nate Watson. Good to see you, buddy.
Paul, it's good to see you.
Welcome back to the show. Nate was on, episode 30 or 40, somewhere in there?
35, yeah.
Well, we shot a show down at his office and
office.
Had a good time with that, so I wanted to have him come back and be on TV and all that.
A rerun.
A rerun's the old one, which we played before, but at any rate, Paul, I'm your host of the show, and also the founder of growmedia.com. Growmedia.com grows your social media engagement via strategic short videos. How's that for a sales pitch, Nate?
I love it.
That's great. Well, we're going to talk about you now.
My favorite subject.
Yeah, that's your favorite subject, and most people is. You're most people's favorite subject.
I wish.
That's
business would be much easier.
Yeah, that's right. It isn't. There's some other Nates running around, but we'll talk about that too. My first question, of course, as you know, is what business are you in? What business is Contemporary Analytics in? More importantly, Nate, what benefits does your company provide for people?
Well, Contemporary Analysis is a data science consulting company. We help businesses use their data, sometimes for the very first time, to really make better decisions, save money, make more money, but really be relevant with their business, with their data.
And so your customers are medium to large size companies typically?
Typically, they are medium to large size companies that are doing some business intelligence, have some dashboards, but want to go from reactive to proactive. Beautiful. I want to know what's going to happen, not what just happened.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful because I think especially entrepreneurs and companies getting to that next level are flying by the seat of their pants a lot. Is that true?
It's very true. Most companies really spend their first few years, even big companies that are in data science or starting to get into data science, really spend the first few years kind of flying by the seat of their pants. We're really built to help them figure out a plan, a vision, to execute that plan, and to really shorten that cycle of ROI. Really, that key piece is shorten that cycle.
I can appreciate that, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Sure.
I mean, when I start a business or build a mid-sized business or whatever, I have a business plan. And guess what? They always change. We were just talking about that, weren't we? I mean, how does data keep me on course?
It's funny, I believe Mike Tyson said everybody has a good plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That's right.
Data's that way too.
Okay.
We do a lot of appetizer projects, which is kind of what we call our first phase in any kind of project. It's usually a smaller project designed to really get our hands dirty inside your data. We have found more than once that their data was not as good as they had hoped, and the next project really, instead of, they had all these plans of, we're going to build all this business intelligence, we're going to start doing descriptive analytics and predictive analytics and machine learning, then AI.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, their very first project is, you need better data. You need better data collected.
They got punched in the mouth.
They got punched in the mouth.
Okay.
You need better data. It has to be collected better, and it has to be stored in a way that can be used by the data scientists.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you and back up a little because, I mean, I know you and we see each other around and we've been on the show before. Mm-hmm. I have an idea, and I also worked as a recruiter in the IT space for many years, so I have a little bit of the vocabulary, not much, but some. But to someone who's new to the idea of data, what is data? We see data will save the day for you. Data will fix your plan. Data will keep you on the course. What is data? Where do I find it? And how do I get some more?
Boy, how long do we have?
Yeah, not to
data is, everybody collects data on all kinds of decisions, all kinds of demographics,
Or they should collect it.
They are. It may not be stored.
Oh, okay.
But there is demographic data. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? What kind of car do you drive? How tall are you? Where'd you go to school? Then there's social type of what kind of potato would you be on Facebook? Which actually is a way to collect data on how you make decisions. What would you choose, A or B? And that type of data, when married with demographic data, really allows you to predict how you will respond to a variable of what kind of car would you buy, what kind of ad would motivate you to do something.
I've heard the word market segmentation. Is that what we're talking about, or a little further deeper than that?
It's deeper than that.
Okay.
Market segmentation is understanding that children buy differently than adults, right?
Okay.
That's a segment. College grads buy different than non-college grads in some instances.
Okay.
Those are segments, but how you use those segments to predict what someone is going to do is the predictive analytics. That's what a data
That's the
scientist
really
does.
key part, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy. I can predict something based on what data I'm looking at.
That's correct.
You know, you can look at a customer and say, that customer is probably going to do X, Y, and Z within the next ABC time frame. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
Oh yeah, we've done everything from student success. We've done what product you're going to buy. We've done when is a person going to buy a second product or an upsell, so a cross-sell, upsell, resell type of prediction. We've done when computer programs will fail, when automobiles or engines will fail, all kinds of stuff.
Well, I can just see how business would. I mean, a car is an easy, low-hung target. I mean, yeah, you know, when the young couple get married and they have their first baby or two or whatever, that they're probably going to buy a minivan. I mean, I can kind of figure that out. But you know how many months after they had their baby to when they're buying that minivan, and you can study that kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah. There is a national average of how long it takes a newlywed couple based on their age to have their first kid. So if the number was 12 months, and I'm completely making that up, but if it was 12 months, you would start marketing your car selling service in month 10.
Okay, yeah.
And you'd say, are you looking for a new car? And when they say, you know what, I am. Oh, strange, weird, crazy.
You want to be top of mind.
It is
right?
planned serendipity.
And you can, I mean, it doesn't have to be email marketing. It could be a piece of mail in the mailbox.
Mail, video, door knocks.
Well, and then the whole thing with data surveying too. I mean, the whole thing about I was looking for a minivan. Not that I had a kid recently, but I needed a minivan. And guess what? There started appearing minivan ads on my phone. You know, how did that happen?
The really crazy Facebook test of talk when Facebook is open when you didn't about something you've never talked about before.
Yeah.
And magically you will start getting ads for it. It's very strange.
My niece had told the story. She was rooming with a bunch of people and her husband, a whole house full of roommates, and one roommate she was talking about a blue bathing suit that she bought, and all of a sudden the roommate got an ad for a blue bathing suit on his phone.
Some of that is
a little scary.
True serendipity. Some of that is very planned serendipity.
Oh yeah,
so
I know it was planned, I think.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a reflection of data. I mean, does your world, your data science world, play into that? Data served ads, is that all tied together, or tell me more about that?
Most of the time we are literally just predicting what someone would buy.
Okay.
The ad itself is a marketing agency or the marketing division of a company.
Gotcha.
We're not into anything other than serving up predictions.
Sure, okay. Predicting the future. You can predict elections, I think you told me once, or almost.
I can predict vote counts. I can predict approximately who's going to vote for who turnout-wise. Yeah. But that you get into some really interesting variables when you start predicting outcomes of giant races.
Okay, I'm sure. Well, tell me, we were veering off my form of questions a little bit, but
I'm notorious for that.
You're interesting to talk to.
Thank you.
You know, for the entrepreneurs out there, why did you get into this business?
That's an interesting question, because I didn't found the business. I actually came as the first salesperson for Contemporary Analysis, and in doing so really fell in love with helping companies become better at it, helping companies see the strategy and vision behind what we were selling, and then when the opportune time came, bought the company.
Okay.
With some business partners.
Sure.
But yeah, we bought it originally, and now we run it, and I think I've owned it now for 4 or 5 years
Okay.
at this point,
Okay.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
And do you have a staff?
I do.
Yeah.
There's a number of us.
Good.
Welcome to the millennial economy, the gig economy, because
Trying to keep good employees.
I
is
have a
hard.
number of gig workers
Okay.
that work for me when I need them and don't work for me when I don't
Perfect.
need
It
them.
is the
And
gig-
they're quite happy with that.
Yeah, it's the gig economy, like you
the
said.
gig
That's how it
economy.
works. Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's a fascinating story, that you came there for a job, and you were in sales. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
First, and you fell in love with the industry and took advantage of that to actually leverage your way into ownership.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. The industry itself, which we started, Contemporary Analysis is 12 this year. It's crazy to think of where the industry has come from. When we started, the terms data science, big data, business intelligence, none of that stuff existed. So we've seen the industry really come from nothing and grow to where it is today.
Yeah.
But the entrepreneur thing is really interesting. We're very passionate about that. We actually have a number of companies that we have built through Contemporary Analysis. We have a few companies that are in the tracker family of hemp tracking product. We have like a gun range product. We have a recall notice.
These are
for
software-like products.
Yeah, they're pieces of software.
They're
that
helping
built.
the owner of that company use that tool, that product, to help their business, and you are a partner in that.
Yeah, and so
development of that.
the development of intellectual property from a solution that we built for somebody else, and then selling that intellectual property as a piece of software. So Contemporary Analysis owns a big chunk of these companies. Has
Interesting
made us
concept.
entrepreneurial.
Well, yeah,
it has
you have to be,
changed
yeah.
the way we have had to take our own medicine of how do you collect data, how do you store data, how do you use data, and predicting our own stuff for a
Interesting.
change. Nothing will humble you faster.
Yes,
than,
yes.
Than
Well, I think
running
that's
your own company.
fascinating to basically become partners with your customers.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
It is what we're doing.
And
In a lot of cases, the company that we built this for originally still is in partnership with us, that they have the original piece of intellectual property, and then we're building V2. They get V2, and we sell V1 to everybody else. And so they get their competitive advantage, but the rest of the industry still gets a solution to the problem that they paid for to solve. So the whole industry still is better, and company A still has their competitive advantage. It's really
That's very cool. That's a very cool strategy. Yeah. I've chatted with you about that before and was fascinated by it. You've kind of answered the next question there already. What's different about, I mean, there are business analytics companies out there, I think.
Not many, but there are a few.
No, that's your answer. What does Contemporary Analysis, how is it different than the competitors?
Yeah,
I think you just answered it already. But
we have a very unique company in that there aren't many predictive analytics consultants in the United States anyway, let alone Omaha.
Yeah.
But really what makes us different is we propose from the very beginning on how to leave the company. So when you go and leave the company. When the consultant usually comes in, they are trying to stay there forever.
Yes.
And what we are trying to do is build something, help you build it. It takes 10 people to build it, but only one person to manage it.
Okay.
So the one person to management, we always train an internal person and leave the intellectual property with them so that they can run it. It should be run internal. It's
That's
theirs.
a fascinating philosophy.
And then we go away, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating philosophy. Is that you're creating that customer to be done with that customer, sort of. And I don't think many companies think that way. I know the big 4, big 8, big 6 consulting companies want to be part of you for the rest of your life, and they probably have some data analytics arms and legs too. But I know their philosophy is not to do what you just said.
Correct. And by doing that, what we've built is a better community, a smarter community.
Sure.
The data science teams in the region communicate with each other. They still have NDAs and things they can't talk about.
Right.
But the community itself really has developed as an industry, the companies are much stronger because they are managing it. Now we augment, we still stay around, stick around,
right.
help when things get tough, but it really only is the ownership of it by the company is what makes it successful inside.
Okay.
It only is ever a third-party vendor suggesting things. Are they really true? I don't know. Like they always question it. But when it's internal, when it becomes an internal thing that they own and that they manage and that they run, they have to stop having these questions.
And then some of them are, in fact, partners ongoing with you too, and so there's that ongoing, continuing relationship.
That's how we continue to stay engaged with the companies. Is
Sure.
Let us develop the intellectual property as a
What's
solution.
the percentage roughly of customers who are engaged in an ongoing partnership versus customers you're trying to get out of? I mean, I say that in a positive way.
That is a rather new concept for us. So
Kinda
the
fluid.
idea of IP spin out is only about 18 months old.
Okay.
So
that is new.
yeah, we've got the tracker program, which came out of a customer that we have that really has developed into 4 or 5 different projects, but it's really only one piece of software, one solution.
Okay.
And then we have a whole second one. So really we have 2 or 6, depending on how you count them.
Okay. Now, I don't answer this if you don't want to, but I'm wondering if some of these products that you've created for companies, the dated version, the client has the new product, but is there a way to sell these products to many, many people? Create it once, sell it many times?
That's a lot of that is the point where the
imagine,
data has become valuable and
right.
what the company wants. So a company who doesn't have a revenue stream now magically does. How do we monetize our data? Well, you productize the thing that created the data. And so then you can sell the data and the product. And
I'm going to go back and watch this episode again and again because what you're saying is very layered and very nuanced, and it's really, really fascinating. Briefly, tell us what you did, how you got started as a sales rep at Contemporary Analytics.
Man,
I mean, what did you do before? Were you
long ago.
You're a sales guy, not a geek?
I did not come through tech. I actually was a financial planner. Before that, I was in insurance, which I loved, and before that, I was a geologist. I have a geology background, a geology degree, which actually is where some of this came from. So I have a GIS background.
Okay.
The Geographical Information Systems is using geographic data to make decisions, which isn't that far of a jump to using data to make decisions.
Yeah.
So understanding on a map where things are so you can make decisions really in the late 90s was fairly new to the world. And so I came out of college with that type of understanding. Spent what seems like a lifetime ago, spent a number of years in the environmental world really using GIS and cutting my teeth in it. So when I got here, it was like coming home. And really found my love again without having to be outside behind a drill rig when it was -10 or 110, raining or freezing. They never they always seem to send you to Minneapolis in January and Texas in June, and never the other way around.
Why can't they get that figured out?
Yeah.
So you're a road warrior, it sounds like.
I was a road warrior. I spent a lot of time
in the bad
in
weather,
hotels.
yes, no doubt. Well, when I asked you that question, I flashed back to the first time you were on my show way back when, and I'm getting ahead of myself now about advice for entrepreneurs, but since I brought it up, I have quoted you several times on this show when we're talking about types of talent out there, and you said if you're a geek, hire a sales rep. If you're a sales rep, hire a geek. So something like that. Did you say it the first time? I don't know
Pretty close. I still think that's sage advice from a guy who bought into a company that he was working at and took the reins over, and then started 5 or 6 more, and there's 5 or 6 in the wings even, of additional companies. What has been successful about Tracker, Hemp Tracker, Batch Tracker, Rangefinder, whatever, is...
That's your product?
Those are the 3 or 4 different products. Okay. What's been successful is when I really partner with one of my technologists. And they can design the actual program and product, and then I design the sales, the marketing, the vision, the strategy. Some of that is some crossover between vision and strategy. But when that is right, when those two pieces are really filled correctly, you end up with a stronger product. And quite frankly, you see this in the Startup Collaborative. You see this in any of the entrepreneurship programs.
Right.
Half of the people that I know that have started companies, when they're most successful is when they are partnering with the other person.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that collaborative, like you mentioned, is the key, I think, in that. I mean, nobody does everything well, and too often I think entrepreneurs, think they can do everything or think they know this, and so often I see they're in a situation where they are what I call the subject matter expert. They know their stuff, but they don't know, maybe it's marketing, their sales. They don't know that part. And I mean, as a recruiter for many years, I would see the IT guy. He's got all sorts of great, very modern technical skills, high demand, and he can go out on his own and be an independent contractor and land a lot of well-paid work. But what happens when that gig is over? Then he has not marketed himself, sold himself, networked himself, and didn't think about that step. Well, he probably had good enough skills to not go broke, but the point is that nobody's good at everything, are they?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a lot of data scientists that come to me, and the reason that they come to me is they don't like corporate culture, and so we get the problem solvers that want to get work done but don't want to struggle through corporate culture.
Right.
But then they go out on their own and they find out they really, really hate the sales and marketing part.
Yes, yeah.
And so they come to us and they say, can we just be workers for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
We love that. And we do. We have quite the bench of data scientists.
That's awesome.
Some of the best in town at their individual competencies.
Right. Well, that's terrific. As we work our way down here as the program wraps up, Nate, what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs? What speed bumps have you hit along the way? What have you learned? And all this in 30 seconds. No. I mean, how do they get to the next level? How do they get something started? How does data apply to this as well?
Wow,
again,
I love when you're asking 45-minute explanation questions. I said in the very first program that we did, the number one thing is just to start, right? Do something.
Right.
Go somewhere.
Right.
Be something, because it's almost never that first idea, it's almost never that first solution that is the amazing aha moment. Mm-hmm. It's the second one. It's the pivot, as we were talking about.
Yes.
It is the discovery of a better solution that you can build with half or part of what you've already built.
Sure.
That really is the key to some of that.
Sure.
So I do go back to start and use data to do it. It's data usage is kind of the minimum threshold now for success. The VCs, the investors, the people who want to invest or buy or use your program, they always ask about the data.
Okay. Yeah.
And so have that as a back pocket product.
Sure.
Think through how are you going to use the data, what is the data going to look like, and then ask. There are lots of people who want to help you. There are organizations that exist to solely help you figure out if your idea is valid. We invented one of those too, called the Crucible.
Okay.
There is.
Tell me more about that.
The Crucible really came out of this idea that we are too nice in Nebraska.
Okay.
We even have a slogan, Nebraska Nice.
Yes.
But when you are starting a business, I need real advice. I need to know if this is going to work or not. And a lot of organizations, they can't, because it's part of their business to take you as a potential client. Mm-hmm. So we really needed to create an organization that does business vetting. So
is the Crucible workshop a tool? What is it?
It is a workshop event.
Okay.
I believe the next one's on April 22nd.
Okay.
It's like a pitch competition, but no prize.
Okay.
It's literally designed to give you great advice so that you can have that before you really spend a lot of time and effort in the actual undertake, the actual implementation.
Help you pivot early, perhaps, instead of, I've talked before on shows of people falling in love with their product and not getting the feedback.
Well, we've done versions of this before where people come to us and they they have a pretty decent idea, but it's buried in a lot of fluff.
Right.
And they've been told, that's a great idea, you should pursue that. And then they hear from us, you should not pursue any of that except for that piece.
Yes,
that piece is actually really good.
Well, that's wonderful data and wonderful collection of information and so on. You bet, you bet. Well, that's an interesting. We'll put up information about that event on the screen, of course. And how do people learn about you? I mean, if my company, I want to do some data analytics, do predictive analysis, and so on. That all sounds pretty technical and pretty over my head. How do I learn more about that?
Yeah, so being a former sales guy, I make it really easy to find me. If you go to canworksmart.com, which is our website, canworksmart.com, you can find out any kind of contact information for me, my email, my phone number, my LinkedIn. I'm Nathan Watson.
Sure.
On LinkedIn, I love...
Can I have a cup of coffee with you and learn about all this data stuff?
Absolutely can.
All right.
I do charge a cup of coffee price.
Okay.
So yeah, sitting down with me will cost you $3.50.
That's great.
So, but I'd love to meet with people. I'd love to sit down with them and learn more.
Nate, we've just scratched the surface of what we need to scratch here, and there's a whole lot more. And I hope that you check out Contemporary Analytics and learn about all the mysteries and the exciting things that data can do for a company, and no matter what size, if they're just a small startup or if they're maybe a mid-sized company.
Yep.
Well, that's terrific. Nate, thanks for coming.
Paul, always a pleasure.
Yep, good to see you again, and thank you for joining us on the Grow Your Biz Show, episode number 113. And in the meantime, till next week, go on out and grow something.